I'm from WWF Hong Kong and works in Maipo Nature Reserve, and I will be talking about the bird trends in the Maipo Nature Reserve and also the bigger area, the inner deep bay in Hong Kong, China. So first of all, where are we? Hong Kong is located in the river mouth of Pearl River, one of the three main rivers of China, and at the eastern coast of Pearl River, at the mouth of Shenzhen River, is the inner deep bay. So here is a zoom in of the inner deep bay area. As you can see, the habitat, how it looks like, and here we could look at how what types of habitat we have and also the protected area in the inner deep bay. First of all, it's a Maipo Nature Reserve, which is managed by WWF Hong Kong and is where I work in. Other than Maipo Nature Reserve, we actually have other reserve in the inner deep bay, which one of them is the Futian Mangrove National Nature Reserve in the mainland side. Other than that, we also have a Hong Kong Wetland Park, which is managed by Hong Kong government and is also managed for conservation purpose. So what do you want to know in terms of the trend? First of all, we want to know about the overall trends in the inner deep bay. Other than that, we also would like to know about how the trends in the Maipo Nature Reserve is doing, because this is where we where the site we manage. Other than that, we also would like to see whether the trends in Maipo actually would follow the bigger trends in the inner deep bay. So is it really always the same, or sometimes it differs, and how it differs? And last, we are also interested in seeing how the overall trends will be affected by other factors. So this is what we want to know. In order to find out the answer, we need some data, and the data set that I'm looking into is a survey conducted by the Hong Kong Birdwatching Society, which is under monitoring program of the Hong Kong government, the Agricultural, Fishery and Conservation Department. And this program is actually looking at the whole Ramsar site and the area around the Ramsar site. And so we could use this database to see how the trends is in the whole area. So in this monthly waterbird survey, the area they look into actually is beyond Hong Kong. So it includes Hong Kong and mainland side, as you can see in this map. The numbered areas are the survey sites. They divide into different parts, and different parts will be monthly counted by individual surveyors and coordinated by the Hong Kong Birdwatching Society. And in this area, of course, we have the Maipo Nature Reserve. Other than that, we also have a large area, which is the intertidal mudflat. And other than that, we also have some habitats like fish pond and also the Hong Kong Wetland Park. And in order to know about the trends in this area, I applied a TRIM program, using the TRIM program to look at the trends. So TRIM is actually stands for the Trends and Index for Monitoring Data. And this program actually could cater areas with missing counts. So if there's a missing counts, it could imputate and then produce a trends and index for the whole area. And the time frame that I'm looking into is 20 years. So from 1999 to last year. And all of them is performed in R. And in TRIM, they actually have already defined the trends into 6 categories, so listed here. The categories are actually defined with a cutoff of 5%. So if it has an increase in 5% strongly, then it would be attributed to strong increase, and so on. So other than the cutoff of 5%, it also have being able to define stable and uncertain trends. So using this program, I analyzed 32 species of shorebirds in the deep bay and want to see how the trends look like. The species are selected, so we didn't cover all the species, but among the species, these are those that could be handled by TRIM, because if the numbers are too small, then TRIM may not be able to analyze. So here are the results. I separate into Inner Bay and micronature reserve. Other than that, I also divide into 3 time frame. So it's 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years. For 5 years, that means it's a recent 5 years, and 10 years would be the recent 10 years, and 20 years would be the whole data set, and try to look at the trends of each of these time frame. As you can see, some species might have an increasing trend and some are declining, but of course there are also fluctuating species. But because in this table, it might be a bit hard to look at, so I have a summary chart. Like for Inner Bay, if we look at 20 years, so the whole data set, we could see that actually the increasing species and versus a decreasing species, the proportion are quite similar. So it's around 11 species for each category. But in the recent 10 years, actually the proportion of declining species are more than the increasing one. And also the proportion for uncertain species are quite large. It means that the species actually fluctuates. And for recent 5 years, actually a lot of species become uncertain trends. So we couldn't really define the trends in the recent 5 years. For micronature reserve, actually quite a large number of species could not be analyzed because the number for those species actually sometimes will drop to 0 in that data set. So it might not be it couldn't be handled by TRIM, but let's omit that part. If we focus on those that could be handled by TRIM, we actually could see that the declining species are actually have a quite a substantial proportion, and for actually there's no increasing species in the analysis. So across the year, is either declining or uncertain trends. So what are the species that has strong decline then? So here they are. Actually, the strongest decline species is spotted redshank, which is quite obvious in terms of 20 years and 10 years time frame. Other than spotted redshank is the wood sandpiper, marsh sandpiper, and also pied avocet, and the decline is roughly within this 10 years. For some moderate decline species, here they are. It includes the littorine plover, green sandpiper, and broadbill sandpiper. All 3 of them are having moderate decline in 10 to 20 years. Other than decreasing yep. Okay, so other than that, we also have species that are increasing. And in this case would be the Pacific golden plover, curlew sandpiper, black-tailed godwit, and also great sandplover. For moderate increase, we have 3 species, which is the common redshank, gray plover, and windbill. But for windbill, actually, it is attributed. It's actually because of the high count in last year that kind of pull up the curve. So if I take off the last year data, it actually would be long-term stable trend other than an increase. So we also is interested in looking at whether there's any difference between micronature reserve and the whole Deep Bay area. And here I highlight the species that have very contrasting trend between the 2 areas. So as you can see, for micronature reserve, when there is a decline, which is highlighted in pink, and for the overall area, it could be increasing or stable. So what happened is our next question. So possible reason that could attribute to such decline in a micronature reserve is that we try to look at where the birds might be going. So if I divide the data set into different areas, that includes the Hong Kong intertidal areas and Hong Kong other habitat and also mainland. We noticed that when the birds in the micronature reserve is declining, some other places have actually an increase in bird number. If we look at, for example, common green shank, the overall trend is stable for the whole inner Dip Bay, but it's just the micronature reserve is reducing. So where the birds go, that includes the intertidal area, other habitat in Hong Kong, and also the mainland. Here we, for each of them, I could give a little bit of explanation. For intertidal, we actually guess that it could be due to the sedimentation of the tidal mudflat, which means when it's at certain high tide, actually the birds might not need to get into micronature reserve for high tide routes, but they could remain in the mudflat during high tide. So it actually would attribute to a reduction in birds in the nature reserve of in Maipo. Other than that, we also noticed that in mainland side, the Futan mangrove nature reserve, they actually have an improvement in the habitat in 2016. So in recent years, they actually have an increase in the numbers within the reserve, which also contribute to an increase in the number of birds in mainland. So that also applies to the black-tailed godwit and also common red shank. So when the numbers in the nature reserve is decreasing, it goes to other places. But other than small-scale changes among the different areas, we're also interested in seeing what might affect the overall trend. So here I have an idea of looking into whether the counts would actually relate to the annual mean temperature and annual total rainfall. The idea behind is that as a bird watcher, it always feels like when the temperature drops, that we could have more birds. And the logic behind is that when the weather is cooler, then more birds might come to winter. So the question here is whether it is really the case or not. So I applied a generalized linear model and try to relate the temperature and rainfall parameters with the count data and see if there's any relationship between the count and temperature and rainfall. So what I see is that there are some birds that could be negatively related to temperature. That means that when the weather is cooler, these kind of birds would come in greater numbers in this area. And that includes the pied fossat, black-winged steel, little ringed plover, wood sandpiper, and common green shank. But at the same time, there are some species that may be coming more if the weather is warmer, and that includes a greater sandplover, windbill, and common red shank. The reason behind is unknown at the moment, but it kind of shows us that the temperature could affect the birds numbers in this area, and different species might be behaving differently. But also, there's one highlight is that just now I talked about that huge decline in spotted red shank and marsh sandpiper, but then temperature and rainfall doesn't have any effect on these two species, which means that the decline actually has nothing to do with this temperature fluctuation or rainfall change. So conclusion is that in the recent 10 years, the number of species declining in this area is actually more than species is increasing. And species that decreased the most in the past 20 years in this area is spotted red shank, and the decline is nothing to do with temperature or rainfall. And for the decline in the micronature reserve, we could actually attribute this to the distribution change of birds in the whole area. So that's redistribution of birds that leads to decline in our nature reserve. And lastly, temperature appears to affect bird numbers, and this might be attributing to fluctuation of some species between the years. So before I end, I want to give thanks to Hong Kong Birdwatching Society and also the AFCD of the Hong Kong government for the support and also the data. So thank you.